Greetings from the Wadi Kelt, just east of Jerusalem in the Judean wilderness. This week in our reading cycle, we're going to start into some of the most beloved and exalted poems in the entire Psalter, chapters that have been dear to Jews and Christians for millennia. Psalm 120 to 134 are known as the Psalms of Ascent. In Hebrew, the word for ascend is ma'alah. And in the scriptures, it can refer to both a physical ascent or spiritual. And it involves individual as well as corporate practice. I know for most of us, when we read these Psalms of Ascent, our hearts are lifted up, closer to the Lord. And in biblical times, the Jewish people sang them corporately for much the same reason when they needed encouragement. 3 times a year for the pilgrim festivals, they would make the long journey to worship God in the place that He chose, Jerusalem. The tribes in the far north of the land, in the Galilee, faced a long and arduous journey. No matter what route they took, it would take between 3 and 5 days to reach Jerusalem by foot. In order to keep up their resolve on the long journey and to build the anticipation of being in the Lord's house again to worship Him, they would sing these Psalms of Ascent together all along the journey. Most often, they chose to travel down the Jordan River Valley to Jericho and make this long ascent up to Jerusalem. It's about 15 miles or 24 kilometers and involves climbing 3,400 feet or just over 1,000 meters. It's a long, difficult ascent. And remember, they would make it on the last day of their journey. Most of these Psalms of Ascent remind us of God's providence, His goodness and provision in our lives, how He delivers and protects us, how He leads and strengthens us. The opening verses of this series of Psalms say, "In my distress I called out to the Lord, and He heard me." And the closing verse is a beautiful blessing. "The Lord, maker of heaven and earth, bless you from Zion." Throughout these Psalms, we're reminded to humble ourselves, to rest in the Lord and put our hope in Him. Psalm 131 focuses especially on these themes, and it ends with a wonderful word for all of us this week. "O Israel, hope in the Lord, from this time forth and forevermore." As you read the Psalms of Ascent this week, I encourage you to renew your commitment to God, rely on Him alone for whatever you're facing in life, and be glad in Him.